Greetings, beloved. It gives me a pleasure once again to share the Word of God on this platform with you once again. It is indeed a privilege to be among the servants of the Lord that are sharing the Word with His people worldwide. I wish to take this opportunity to thank you for keeping me in your prayers as I took ill last Sunday and I could not deliver the message. We have received messages of support and we've received messages of upliftment. Thank you to all of you for your continued prayers. Today, beloved, we mark the 73rd day of the national lockdown in a quest to flatten the curve of COVID-19. Equally, on this day, it's the first day when the churches are opening for the 50 permitted people to be in a church service. This morning, we had a privilege in our church to test our systems as to whether they are ready to actually take the influx of what comes with opening the service. I know quite a number of other churches opened, and we really thank God that we continue doing so. To those that have not opened, it's not supposed to be a judgment of failure or a judgment of cowardness, but it's on our level of assessment as to whether what works best for our churches. Tomorrow it's Monday, the 8th of June. It's going to be equally one of the greatest tests for the preparedness made by government in opening the public schools for grade 7 and grade 12 as they resume their learning. As it has been the norm, I have been doing an analysis of what I call the COVID-19 statistical analysis on a week by week analysis. In other words, from one Sunday to another Sunday. As of last week Sunday, the 31st of May, South Africa had done 701,883 tests of the COVID-19. And as we actually reported when I was on air, we stood at about 24.37% of the improvement. And on this day equally, on the 7th of June 2020, the tests that have been done, it's 891,668. In other words, from last week to this week, we are at 27%. The confirmed cases in South Africa as we stood on the 31st of May were at 30,967. We're standing now at 45,973. This shows that we are now at 48% of the test. What it actually means is that it shows that there is an increase in the number of tests. The recoveries thereof, beloved, as of the 31st of May, we stood at 16,000. As of the 7th of June, we're standing at 24,000. It actually means that we are sitting at a number that is increased from the previous one. The case of fatalities, last week we stood at 643 and now we're sitting at 952. It's another increase. In terms of actual cases, last week this time we were looking at 14,208. This today we're looking at 20,763 active cases. This means, beloved, we are no way going closer to flattening the curve as we will want to. In fact, if ever you look at the confirmed cases vis-a-vis the actual cases, we are somehow on the borderline of 50% of the cases. And if ever the 50%, if the 50% goes, we go higher and higher, it means that the danger is actually coming. So it means as the children of God, we need to continue to pray for such times such as this as the children of God, because this requires us to be in prayer. About a month ago, we started on our series of the sower and the seed. We spoke on length on the conditions of the soil as outlined by our Lord Jesus in the parable of the sower. As we dwell deeper in the topic, we paid focused attention to 5 principles of sowing. We said principle number 1, it's all sowing begins with preparation. All sowing begins with preparation. We said principle number 2, all sowing demands efforts. Number 3, we said all sowing is tested by waiting. Number 4, we said measurement is key in sowing. And number 5, we said cultivation is part of sowing. Today I want to turn my attention to principle number 1. All sowing begins with preparation. And I want to start with the social quotations of 2 of the foremost esteemed statesmen in America by the name of Benjamin Franklin. He said, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Let it sink in us. The second person I want to quote who spoke on this way or on this concept of preparation was Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, as we might know, was the 16th president of the US. And he said, I will prepare and someday my chance will come. I will prepare and someday my chance will come. But there is a quote that he also did, Abraham, which I found to take preeminence in what I'm going to be talking about. He says, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Give me 6 hours to chop down the tree, and I will spend first 4 sharpening the axe. The phrase that caught my attention in the week leading to today was the level of preparedness by several sectors, including the church, business, and government. The Department of Basic Education postponed the reopening of the schools by a week, given the fact that they were not prepared to open the schools, as their actions will be deemed to have been risky. In other words, if ever you are not prepared to do something, the cost to you are very high. So they chose not to open the schools. And as you might know now, that the schools in South Africa will be open tomorrow. There's an old-fashioned way of judging the level of preparedness by almost all of us, which we were taught either by our parents, by our mothers in particular. They say if ever you're going to do a grocery, you need to prepare a grocery list. And this grocery list becomes an item where you can tick the items that you have actually bought. This will actually help you or assist you in avoiding buying unnecessary items, and therefore you will keep yourself within your preset budget. Now, here is a question that you might be asking me, Pastor Sharon, what is preparation? There's a simplistic way of defining the word preparation, and it's by dividing it into two, into what we call the prefix and the suffix. The prefix to the word preparation, it's pre. As you might know, the word pre means before, or before an action is taken. So in other words, when we're talking about preparation, we should also be mindful of that there are things that we need to do. The preparation part of that word means that an action that is taken before the actual launch of the project. Whatever you're going to be launching yourself into as a child of God, you need to prepare in advance. There is a working definition in South Africa of the word preparation. It means the state of readiness. Now, the question that I'm asking you is this one today. How ready are you to launch into the deep? The second question I might want to ask you is, how ready are you to implement the projects that God has laid in your heart? How ready are you to actualize your dreams? How ready are you to actualize your dreams? Indeed, it is true that the level of readiness differs from one sector to another. It is a pre-existing endowment that should determine your preparedness, your level of preparedness. If you have much to lose, in other words, if ever you have much reputation to lose, dignity to lose, a niche to lose, you cannot afford to launch yourself into the battlefield unprepared. Can I say it again? If you have much to lose as a child of God, if you have reputation at stake, if you have dignity at stake, you cannot afford to launch yourself into the battlefield unprepared. Your losses in your company or in your organization are not as a result of your execution, but as a result of your level of preparedness. How prepared are you as a child of God? How prepared are you launching yourself into this? So the losses that you count, it's not in terms of your execution, your implementation, but it's in terms of your planning, your risk profiling, your preparedness as a child of God. As a child of God, we often launch into the battlefield without considering the aftermath of our action. We often launch ourselves into the battlefield and we become so embarrassed when things are not happening as we're supposed to happen. We should bear in mind that procrastination should not be an excuse for our lack of preparedness. We should bear in mind that procrastination should not be an excuse for our lack of preparation. I'm reminded of what a preacher said in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11. And he says, I returned and I saw under the sun that the race is not for the swift, nor the battle through the strong, nor yet the bread to the wise, nor the riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill. But time and chance happens to them all. Time and chance happen to them all. When it comes into launching that which God has called you to, always remember, child of God, time and chance It's given to all of us as children of God, to all of us as the people of this universe. How you making use of that time, it's all upon you as a child of God. You as a child of God, you've got every reason to launch yourself into the opportunities that God has given to you, because you've got time, you've got space, and how you're making use of that is important. There are losses and gains in terms of state of readiness, your level of state of readiness. Number one, your losses can be said that if ever you are not ready to launch, there's something that you're going to lose. You're going to lose your reputation. You're going to lose your dignity. But if ever you are ready, you are going to have an increased reputation. One of the losses I've mentioned here, you're going to lose your clientele because of your level of preparedness. But if ever you are ready, you are going to have an increased brand loyalty. You are going to lose your level of unpreparedness in doing the work that you are supposed to be doing, can lead also to a loss of life. But also your level of preparedness can save lives. Your level of preparedness can make your company or your organization to lose